Not live. There we go. Welcome back to the review show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to this live review of AEW Saturday Night Collision. Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston both advance in the Continental Classic. The Blue League final is set, as well as the Gold League final. Both of those will be decided next Wednesday night on Dynamite, going into AEW World's End, where we will crown the first ever Continental Champion in All Elite Wrestling. Their first ever triple crown, a new triple crown in North America, will be crowned. It is going to be epic. Danielson, Kingston, Jay White, John Moxley, and Swerve Strickland. One of those five men will be the Continental Champion, the new Triple Crown holder. Also, tonight, we're going to be talking about Thunder Rosa and her return to action after nearly 500 days away. Christian Cage's family grows as they add a new member, and much, much more. Jam-packed, awesome edition of AEW Collision. Interesting choice to start the show. They didn't have the pre-show intro. They didn't have any of the promos. They also did not have the Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting and I'm on action. They didn't have the intro song either. They went right into it. The first thing we saw on our screens was Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, making his march down to the ring. And he faced off tonight against Blackpool Combat Club member, fellow Blackpool Combat Club member, I should say, Claudio Castagnoli. And they had an epic match. And we heard on commentary Kevin Kelly bring up a very interesting point. One of the cool things about tournaments like this, like the G1 in New Japan, is the fact that you get to see people who are part of the same clique, who are part of the same group, like Bryan Danielson and Claudio are, go up against each other with high stakes on the line and give it their all. This is like the only time you're ever going to see Claudio Castagnoli target an already injured part of Bryan Danielson's body, like his orbital bone, like he did throughout much of this match. This was awesome. They went 1,000 miles a minute. I think this is honestly one of my favorite TV matches of the year. I'm not going to say it's the best TV match of the year. I still think that the best TV match of the year so far was that World Tag Team title match between FTR, Jay White, and Juice Robinson. But this was a good match and a great way to open up this show, a great way for people who are just tuning in to show and get a feel of how serious these talent are taking the Continental Classic. And honestly, in a lot of ways, the Continental Classic has kind of rejuvenated AEW, because for a little bit there, AEW was doing the integration. They were trying to integrate Ring of Honor into their television show. They were trying to do a lot more sports entertainment stuff, which can be good in spurts and where it matters and where it fits. But when you oversaturate with those kinds of things, it alienates your main audience. Because remember, the main audience that's there for AEW that has been there since the beginning, they're only watching, or one of the main reasons that they're watching is because they wanted an alternative to WWE. They wanted, sure, wrestling is going to have sports entertainment, but they wanted a more sports-like feel. And the Continental Classic has really brought back and I think reestablished that sports type feel for All Elite Wrestling. So I love seeing this, and I also believe that Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli going head to head is good for business, no matter what the circumstances are. These are two of the best wrestlers, not only in the world today, but of this generation, period. So love seeing them go at it and going head to head as always. And again, like, they've made the Continental Classic feel special tonight. So, story of this match, Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli, I should say, and Bryan Danielson obviously fighting out to advance in the Continental Classic. Going into tonight, Danielson with a win, he's in. And Claudio needed to win as well to solidify his spot in the finals. He did not do that. He was unable to get that. Bryan Danielson and Claudio went to a time limit draw, which made things really interesting because Bryan has not lost in this tournament. Claudio has lost, but with the win, he would have been in, and these two went right down to the wire. Claudio Castagnoli hit him with a Ricola bomb. Danielson hit him with a Psycho knee. They threw everything and anything at each other, and neither man folded. Both men withstood the 20-minute time limit, and both earned 1 point for their efforts. And, of course, that 1 point was not enough for Claudio. He takes a back seat. He is now eliminated from contention, and it's Danielson going to the finals. And he faced someone who we'll talk about, or he will face, I should say, someone who we'll talk a bunch about later on in this stream. He will face Eddie Kingston in the final, who also had a great match. We got Chris Leclerc in the chat saying, I like Sky Blue and Julia Hart as a team. Let's get right into that, because that is also a big-time moment from tonight. We saw the return of Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa and Abaddon took on Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Julia Hart, who I believe has the best entrance in professional wrestling right now. It's got that feel. Like, it gives you goosebumps when she comes out. It feels big. The transformation of Julia Hart from where she was when she was with the Varsity Blondes or the Hollywood, whatever they were, to the Varsity Blondes to the House of Black has been one of the most epic transformations in all of professional wrestling. I think that she feels not only just like more of a threat than she used to, but she feels like one of the most important things on the show. And it's something that I've criticized the AEW booking for. I've criticized AEW booking of their women's division a lot over the past number of years, and I believe that Julia Hart is one of the few things that they have gotten very, very correct. And it doesn't make up for what I believe to be a lot of the bad booking and the placement of women on cards or the lack thereof, but I do think that we can also acknowledge that Julia Hart is doing some amazing work, and whoever has been, like, whether it's Julia, whether it's a combination of producers, whoever's been, helping her or whoever's really cultivated this gimmick has been awesome. And, of course, Julia Hart teaming up with Sky Blue, someone she misted in the face a few months back, who has now done a complete turn. She has sided herself with Julia Hart. I think last week on Collision, we heard we heard the announce team refer to Sky Blue as Sky Black. It would not be opposed to that name change, just to solidify that she has aligned herself with the House of Black. It would be interesting. But Sky Blue, for now, teamed up with Julia Hart to take on Abaddon, who will be facing Julia Hart for the TBS Championship Saturday night at World's End. And the returning Thunder Rosa, who came out in her hometown of San Antonio, Texas. Thunderous pop. She got a massive reaction, as she deserves. The last time that we saw her in action was when she was the AEW World Champion, right before AEW All Out 2022. And it's been a long time, but it's also been a long time coming. She's come back. She looked really good in the ring. The emotion, the feeling, the moment was palpable. This was exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted Thunder Rosa and her return to feel big, to feel special, and I wanted to kind of restore that feeling. There's been a lot of talk about restoring the feeling lately in professional wrestling. I think this really did restore the feeling for Thunder Rosa. Of course, what she does next will really define her professional wrestling future. I think if I'm AEW, Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW World Championship makes a lot of sense, because who was the person who was crowned the interim champion after Thunder Rosa left, it was Toni Storm. And Thunder Rosa can honestly claim that she has not lost that title. She, on some CM Punk shit, she can say, I'm the real world's champion. Just like, instead of drawing an X, just like spray paint like a skull or something, you know, like something Thunder Rosa-y or some, like a lightning bolt. There we go. Some thunder. I don't know. Do something with that, maybe, if you want to. But I think there is a story to be told because Thunder Rosa obviously has not lost the Women's World Championship. And it makes sense for her to say, I want my title back. And she should want her title back. So we'll see what happens there. But these 4 women went out there, had a really fun match. I think Abaddon got we got a good look at what Abaddon can do. Obviously, they've only recently built up Abaddon and in her return over the past number of weeks, but I think they've done a relatively good job of making her feel serious going into her match with the TBS champion Julia Hart this Saturday night. I feel like now I sound like Tony Khan. This Saturday night, live on like he's just plugging the show. I do not get paid by AEW. If only you knew how little I make. But I don't make anything, actually. If only you knew. But Abaddon, Julia Hart, we saw them in action together for a little bit here. A little bit of a tease going into their match. Thought these 4 women worked together great. Thunder Rosa, of course, picked up the victory here, and it's exactly what should have happened. Thunder Rosa needs to rattle off a few wins, reestablish herself, and I think this was a great step in that direction. So more of this. I want more women featured in these primetime spots with emotion and story behind it, because here what you had was not only you had a multifaceted match. There were multiple things going on. Not only did you have Abaddon and Julia Hart in that angle going into a big pay-per-view match, you also had Thunder Rosa's return, which meant a lot. And now you can maybe do something with Thunder Rosa Sky Blue as like maybe a prelude to whatever they want to end up doing. If they want to end up doing something with Toni Storm, there's so much you could do. Like, the storytelling here has so much room, and this is what I've wanted from the women's booking and the booking of the AEW women's division. More of this, please, Tony Khan. Also, more women booked on the show, please. We also, speaking of women, we also did get Toni Storm backstage. Chin, tits, shoes, all in her glory. She was amazing. The black and white promos are amazing for me. She did not know who Mariah May was. We did also learn in that backstage promo that Mariah May has finally procured her American wrestling license, and she will be making her debut soon. She did not disclose when that would happen, but it will happen. So we will see Mariah May, I should say, relatively soon in action in AEW. And meanwhile, you had Toni Storm basically saying that, I don't even know how to, I can't do it justice. Like, she's just a great promo. Like, this is really the work of her career, what she's doing here. It is so fun. It's just great. I loved the fact that, she was able to cut a promo on Riho, but not make her feel or not make her seem like weak. Because a lot of the stuff is like, Riho, you're like 8 pounds or whatever. You're very small. But it almost sounded like she of course like made a quip about that, but it wasn't like in a way of like demeaning her to make her feel like less of a threat. It was just like, doesn't matter what you do. Like, I'm going to eat you and I'm going to retain my belt. So, love to see that. Would love to see something with Riho and how she feels. She's the inaugural AEW Women's World Champion. I think it would be great to have her like cut a promo on Dynamite or even tonight she could have done one and like speak to that or at least acknowledge that. Like, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they wouldn't do that. Like, if it's like a language thing, like you have subtitles. You can cut something. Like, the stuff that WWE is doing with Nakamura, I think, should be a blueprint, not just for Japanese talent, but like for any talent that where English may not be their first language for promos. I think that is that's what you do. That is what you do. You have those promos and you do like the subtitles and you produce them very well. Like, because that's what they do in the UFC. Like, why wouldn't you do that in professional wrestling as well? We got Chase in the chat. Welcome, Chase. Saying, Chris Statlander can move up to the world title picture as the TBS scene is safe now. Yeah, I think it is safe to say that Julia Hart has that title scene on lock. Would be interesting to see Statlander versus Toni Storm. I definitely think that Stat is going to win that belt at some point. I just think that when she does, it has to be in a meaningful point in her story in AEW. I am not sure if right now is the time. And of course, the story hasn't started, so it could start tomorrow, and we could see Chris Statlander become the biggest babyface. But I think there are a few people in that division right now. You have Thunder Rosa, who I spoke about earlier. You have Britt Baker whenever she ends up returning. You have Jamie Hayter whenever she ends up returning. I think that Jamie Hayter should like immediately just picking up right where I left off. I'm the world champion because they hate us, because they ain't us. Look, I've been drinking the Haterade. I love Jamie Hayter. Absolutely. We got Devon saying Stat most likely will take it off of Tony. It would be interesting. That would be an interesting move. I love that, and I'm going to cheer that because I love Chris Statlander. I just do want that story to be told, too. And that's something that I think that has not been done to the extent that I would have liked up until this point in not only just the women's division, but in a lot of AEW. Like, I do want a bit of a more of a story told. You got Malachi Black saying, who's ready for Sky in the House of Black? I think a lot of people are. Like, just make the change, call her Sky Black, and it's done. You got Chris in the chat saying, Julia Hart and Sky Blue are the future in 2024 and for years to come. Absolutely, 100% agree. I've already spoken to Julia Hart and her rise to prominence and relevance in all elite wrestling and professional wrestling in general. Sky Blue right up there as well. She's up and coming and established herself as a fan favorite, to say the least. We'll see what ends up happening with this current feud or this current story that she's in with the House of Black. I do think it would be right about damn time for the House of Black to get a new member, but we'll see. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're just joining us, welcome. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos are released. We got podcasts all throughout the week. We got videos, news updates, all that kind of stuff. I got a video essay coming out tomorrow on the channel, so be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a damn thing. Real Take Wrestling all day, every day. Let's freaking go. We got Malachi in the chat saying, who remembers when I beat Cody so bad he ran back to WWE? Yeah, you beat Cody and then did nothing for like the entire time. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. We got Chris in the chat saying, yes, Sky Blue to Sky Black and put her in the House of Black. It would be epic if they did that. I just hope that we get to that point. By the way, guys, if you want to guarantee your question is answered, be sure to leave a super chat. That's also a fantastic way to support the channel. We got Devon Lewis saying, Julia and Sky Blue, most improved wrestlers of 2023, seeing how well they have been, or seeing how well we have seen them grow on AEW. Yep, absolutely. Moving on, we had more Continental Classic action. Daniel Garcia, winless so far in the tournament, taking on Big Bad Brody King, who could have solidified a spot in the final had he won, or potentially solidified a spot in the final had he won. That, of course, did not happen because Daniel Garcia, in pretty quick fashion, honestly, much quicker than I thought, beat Brody King, and in a shocker via a roll up, he beat Brody King. This was obviously like I think Daniel Garcia was one of those people who was like we kind of expected him to like do a bit of losing in this tournament, but and Brody King, I think a large part of this, the purpose of this tournament was to help build him up to be a more of a threat and be like this big bad guy. But in about 10 minutes, which I believe is Brody King's shortest match of the entire Continental Classic so far, correct me if I'm wrong, in about 10 minutes, Daniel Garcia with a roll-up, 1, 2, 3, pins Brody King, and with the upset eliminates him from contention in the Continental Classic. To say that this was a shocker is putting it lightly. I genuinely thought that Brody King and was going to win, but because of the math and how it's all done, like Andrade was going to end up advancing or whatever. But that didn't happen. So, which is nuts in my opinion. I think like it had Brody won, like you could have had a situation where Brody King could say like hey, I won. We have 9 points. Let's do a triple threat. Like you could have 2 triple threats for the Blue League final. That obviously did not happen. But yeah. After the match, Daniel Garcia celebrates a little bit. We had Daddy Magic at ringside cheering on his boy, cheering on Daniel Garcia. But then the lights go out. The House of Black in the ring holding the arms of Daniel Garcia as Brody King starts to beat down. Daddy Magic then interferes, trying to stop it. He is not powerful enough. He's covering Daniel Garcia because that's his child. Remember this. Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange are the fathers of poor little Daniel Garcia. So Daddy Magic goes up to his child. He protects him. And then we hear FTR's music come out. Boom. Big time match. I hope they end up doing it at World's End. I'm not sure if it's actually happening at that pay-per-view or not, but I'm telling you, FTR versus House of Black in a big match. Put a number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Titleship on the line. Put that number 1 contendership on the line. Boom. You got yourself. I'm sold on it. Let's do it. They got the story. We got the story. We got the reason and the stakes on the line. Let's freaking do it. Eric Douglas says, I don't want to be that guy. Julia Hart is a very beautiful woman. I agree. Sky Blue looks like Maleficent. Don't know who that is, but okay. Is that the? Is that like Thor's like sister or whatever? Or okay. Never mind. That's okay. Yeah, Alice in Wonder. Okay, or whatever. I don't know. Some Disney thing. Sleeping Beauty. Okay. Did not know that's what her name was. Sky Blue has been a great addition to that group. I agree. All right, moving on, though. So FTR versus House of Black, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black. It's going to happen at some point. When it happens, of course, is going to be interesting. But we'll see. We'll see. Also on tonight's show, we had Top Flight, Darius, Dante Martin, and Action Andretti taking on the AEW World Trios Champions, the acclaimed Daddy Ass, Max Caster, and Anthony Bowens. Fun, high-paced matchup. A match that I believe, like, at a certain point, like, a lot of this match was dominated by Top Flight. This was the Dante Martin return show. Like, that's what this was. They put... Dante Martin, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in the ring. He is one of the most fun wrestlers to watch in the ring, period. It's him. It's Rey Fenix. It's there's a few people who can do what those guys do as far as just spectacle in the ring. I love it. I thought that this was putting his talent on full display, reminding people exactly who the hell Dante Martin is. Been away for nearly a year on injury, and now he's back better than ever. Top Flight tonight and Action Andretti. I thought it had a great showing. Weird finish here as we saw maybe a bit of a heel turn coming up for the Acclaimed as Max Caster picked up the victory, but by rolling up Action Andretti and grabbing the tights. They made a point to say that he grabbed the tights. So I thought that was quite an interesting turn of events. While I don't believe that, anytime soon they're going to turn, I don't think they're going to turn, the Acclaimed heel yet. But I do think that eventually we're going to get to a point where you're going to have, it's like something's got to give. I think eventually, they're going to, turn, what's his name? Max Caster is going to turn on the Acclaimed to go singles. I think there's a lot of interest in seeing him as a singles, I think, and seeing what he can do. I think Bowens also would be great as a singles wrestler. It's just about how you get there. We're still, I think, a bit of ways away from that, but we'll see. Got Devon in the chat saying Dante is a hidden gem. Man, I don't know. If you think Dante, not you, but anyone who has not seen Dante Martin before, and watched this, I don't think if you watch this match or you watch any of Dante's matches, you know for damn sure he's not hidden anymore. That dude is a gem. He is as Macho Man Randy Savage would say, he's a diamond in the rough. He's just a diamond. Yeah, dig it. Yeah, absolutely great stuff there though. Would have loved to have seen the title switch. I think if there's any titles you can kind of hot potato, it's the trios titles, because they're not really built around stories as much as they are built around matches. And for titles like that, titles like the International Championship, titles like the TBS and TNT Championship, it's less of a problem to switch those titles between wrestlers than it would be a world title, than it would be even the tag team titles, just because the stakes that those matches happen in, or the situations that those matches happen in, are more often and require less story and less build to the matches, because they are television titles. They're to be defended on television, whereas the world championships, both men, women's, and tag team, are to be defended largely on pay-per-views and big television shows rather than weekly on the episodic programming. That's why I think it's better it's better to have these titles that you can kind of switch around to an extent and have great matches for and give people a bit of a boost. I think Top Flight tonight could have used the win here and a trios championship, and you could have in a few weeks done a rematch and had them go back or whatever you wanted to do. But I do think that it would have been fun to see Top Flight win this match and walk around with those belts for a little bit and finally give Dante Martin some gold. Give Action Andretti something. The man has done nothing since he beat Chris Jericho. The upset of the decade, and they've done dog shit with it. Come on, man. We gotta let's go. Let's pick up the pace. Let's give Top Flight a little bit of love here, because Dante Martin, man, we talk about it Dante Martin's gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star, and he is going to be one. But you got to start the build, man. You got to, get some gold on him or some silver, whatever some pink belt. Let's get some pink on him. Anyway, fun match there. I really enjoyed watching that tonight. We also had Christian Cage come out tonight. Christian Cage comes out with Nick Wayne, addresses the crowd, addresses Nick Wayne's mother, who, of course, cost Adam Copeland the TNT Championship in Montreal. Screwed him. It was a screw job in Montreal, Michael. Of course, Adam Copeland then, after he was screwed out of the title, put out the challenge. He wants Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. No disqualifications at World's End in Long Island. Long Island. See how I said it? You got to say. So it's not Long Island. It's not Long Island. It's Long Island. Island. Like I'm an island boy. Like, could you imagine if MJF comes out to Island Boy? I think I might stop watching professional wrestling if that ever happened. Guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. We got No Lara in the chat, first of all, saying Merry Christmas Eve to everyone. Merry Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to everyone out there. No Lara says Christian Cage is really having a great heel run in AEW. This, I believe, is the work of Christian Cage's career. Yeah, epic stuff from Christian Cage. Anyway, Christian comes out, talks about his family as he does, addresses Adam Copeland, and then brings out Nick Wayne's mother. So, Mother Wayne comes out, and she says that, how dare you people boo me, because they're booing her. How dare you boo a mother? I did what any good mother would do. Adam Copeland tried to kill my baby, which is true. Like, tried to kill Nick Wayne for giving him a concerto. And of course, Mother Wayne went into her protective instincts, and that's why she did what she did to Adam Copeland. Okay. Christian Cage then takes the mic and says that his family is now complete. And that night in Montreal, when he beat Adam Copeland, he scored the win there. Then he looks over at Mother Wayne and he goes, I scored in a lot of other places that night too. Insinuating that he and Mother Wayne had intimate relations. There's a lot to dig into there that I'm not going to get into because I was like, man, like Nick Wayne is right there. Imagine you're like, that's wild. And like the funny part is Nick Wayne was smiling. Like, the one thing I love about Nick Wayne is he can get away with like laughing his ass off during Christian's promos and losing it and breaking kayfabe, quote unquote. But because like his character is like, I'm like an immature child and I laugh at everything. Like the dude is like, he must be having like the like his gut. Like there's a reason he's got a six pack. It's because he's laughing at everything that's going on around him. Like it's the funniest thing. Imagine being him and like having like this. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Mother Wayne has joined Christian's family. She is the matriarch to his patriarch. And Christian Cage said, AEW World's End, TNT title on the line, Adam Copeland, let's do it one last time. As someone who is going to be at World's End this week, by the way, if you're going to be in Long Island at the event for AEW World's End, be sure to, one, let me know, DM me on Twitter, like let's meet up, have fun, talk about professional wrestling. But yeah, like let me know if you're gonna be at the show and what you're excited to see, because there are a lot of fun matches. Only 7 days away from World's End. It's gonna be a fun show, and I think that's a match I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to Christian Cage versus Edge. Adam Copeland. He's not Edge. We gotta get rid of that. Go away before Tony Khan yells at you. But that's gonna be a fun match, and yeah, I'm excited. Let's see what else happened. I know we haven't talked about the main event, but I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So we're gonna go over to CagesideSeats.com and see what other matches may have happened here. I already talked about Top Flight. Oh, Keith Lee, Brian Cage. Almost forgot about that because that was also a really cool thing that happened. We saw a big Haas battle between Keith Lee and Brian Cage going one-on-one with each other. Recent talks about Keith Lee have been like he is, after Swerve, he wins the match against one of Swerve's associates in the Mogul Embassy, and then afterwards takes the mic and says, hey, man, Swerve put me out for 2 months. Had to regroup and try to reestablish myself all this time, but I'm back. Takes a cinder block, and he says, I'm going to be there on Dynamite on Wednesday, and I'm going to bring the house down brick by brick as he drops the cinder block. Really cool moment here. I think it is. It's on, man. Like the match that we wanted to see. Swerve Keith Lee is on. I don't think that this should happen at World's End. Of course, I think Swerve should end up winning the Continental Classic. But I do think whenever it is, whether it's New Year's Smash or New Year's Bash, whatever the hell it's going to be, or even wait out till Revolution, it might be a little far. If there's a major show in between there, if they end up doing another pay-per-view in between there, that'd be a great place to do it. But, man, Swerve versus Keith Lee. You do that match, I think it should be no disqualifications. Hell, forget Texas Death. Make it a lights-out match. Because it has nothing to do with the Continental Championship. It has nothing to do about wins and losses. This is a brutal, brutal feud between two former friends. One who was betrayed by the other, who has now gone on a path of redemption and revenge. That's what Keith Lee should be doing. That's how you make Keith Lee into this big monster. And look, you want to find a way to have Keith Lee win this feud, but also have Swerve not lose in the standings and not have that loss on his record. A lights-out match is a great way to do that because at the end of the day, it's not about wins, not about losses. It's about beating the ever-living shit out of your opponent. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Oh, man. Love it, love it, love it. Guys, by the way, if you're just joining us, welcome to the stream. We've talked a lot about Collision tonight. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. One thing that I did not talk about that I really do want to is Shibata. Katsuyori Shibata is all elite. It was confirmed before Collision tonight. Katsuyori Shibata has officially signed with AEW. He is full-time. To say that I'm excited puts it as mildly as you possibly could. I'm ecstatic. I am glowing with effervescence. I am so lit. like the fact that Shibata is in AEW's full time and we're gonna get him week in, week out is awesome. Shibata is genuinely one of my favorite wrestlers. He is, obviously one of the big reasons I got, or one of the reasons I had a resurgence in my feelings and my love of New Japan back in the day was watching Omega and Omega and Okada. I'm sorry, just woke up from a nap earlier and I'm still kind of but Shibata was one of those guys when I saw him on one of those shows, I was like, oh, I like that. I like his thing. I liked his style. I always did, and it resonated with me. And when he went away, I went back and watched his catalog, and this dude is just so good, and it's so effortless. He's so cool. Shibata is genuinely one of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm glad that he's going to be in a place where he's going to be featured prominently, because you know damn well, if there's one person who likes Katsuyori Shibata more than me, it's Tony Khan. So big shout out to Katsuyori Shibata. Thank you. Can't wait to see what happens there. All the Google Translate promos that man is gonna cut. It's gonna be epic. Guys, we're heading down the home stretch here. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video, stream, podcast, whatever is released. Let's talk about the main event. Eddie Kingston and Andrade El Idolo. Andrade with 9 points in the Continental Classic. Easy win or tie, and he's in. Eddie Kingston needs to win. And here's the kicker. Going into this, had both men won, or had Eddie Kingston won, he would have advanced. But even though both Eddie Kingston and Andrade had 9 wins, by virtue of his victory over Andrade El Idolo, and that's exactly what happened tonight. Main event was epic. Eddie Kingston coming out, baby face fire personified. He comes out and he's just like, I'm going to fight you, Andrade. We're going to fight and we're going to have a war and I'm going to fight you, Andrade. Like, I love this. The Continental Classic, I said, it's rejuvenated and reestablished AEW. It's done exactly that. Yeah, I think that these two had a great match. Eddie Kingston picked up the victory here. Andrade did lose. I thought that Andrade was going to win because I thought if there's one person you want kind of highlighted in that final, in the Blue League final, I should say, with Bryan Danielson having a big match there, it would be Andrade over Eddie, just because I think Eddie has had more time on AEW TV to be built up as a threat. I think Andrade could have been useful to have him there just for his sake, but they chose to go with Eddie Kingston. He is, of course, defending his Triple Crown. So in that way, it does make sense that Eddie Kingston is in this match. And this is like it's Kingston's last stand, whatever you want to call it. Him and Bryan, of course, as you can see to my right, him and Bryan ended the show staring at each other. We got the Blue League final set for Dynamite on Wednesday. Kingston, Danielson, and of course, on the Gold League side, Moxley, Strickland. I almost called him Scott. Moxley, Strickland, and Jay White. Epic stories, epic matches heading in to AEW Worlds End, where I will be at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. So again, if you're going to be there, let me know. Hit me up. Let's chat. Let's meet up and talk about professional wrestling. Oh boy, guys. What a show it's been. What a night. Collision was great. Can't wait for it. A lot more stuff coming in the works. I mentioned that I'm going to be releasing a new video essay tomorrow. That'll be on the channel for everyone to see in the morning. We also have the return of OT Graps Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Trevor and I have a major announcement that's going to really shake up things for OT Graps. It's a new era for OT Graps. Can't wait to announce that. Also, going to end up doing a preview show for World's End at some point. Hopefully, going to have someone on to help talk about that. And at World's End, of course, I'm going to do the review show afterwards, and we're going to talk about it. But so much happening, so much wrestling to end the year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Mercury for Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real. Good night, guys.